Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a new kind of war. And no, it's not being fought on some distant battlefield. It's happening in job interviews, on customer service calls, and even inside college exam software. This whole thing was sparked by a new wave of AI tools, and it's forcing us all to ask some really tough questions about what testing, skill, and even cheating really mean anyone. So to really get a feel for how high the stakes are here, I want to drop you right into the middle of a pretty tense real-world situation. Just imagine you're on the phone with customer support for a minute, and the person on the other end of the line says this to you. What would you even do? The story itself starts out simply enough. A guy calls in, his new VR headset is on the fritz. The support agent, we'll call her Joy, seems super friendly, very helpful. She tells him she's just going to run a quick remote diagnosis to see what the problem is. Standard procedure, right? But, this is where it gets weird. Joy, who is actually being guided by an AI assistant, kind of gently suggests that the problem might be connected to some adult websites the customer had been visiting. The guy immediately starts to panic. He's trying to make up excuses, says it was his cousin, that, oh wait, the headset is suddenly working again. Literally anything to end the call. But Joy, who's getting these prompts from her AI, she refuses to let him hang up. It gets worse. She actually reads out an incredibly embarrassing file name that she can see on his system. The customer is completely cornered. And the punchline to all this? The real problem was just a disconnected Wi-Fi cable. And that story right there just brilliantly captures the kind of unnerving power we're talking about. So, yeah, that call might sound a little extreme, but it's a perfect example of the ethical storm that's brewing around these new AI tools. What looks like hyper-efficiency on the surface is actually hiding something way more complicated and, let's be honest, pretty manipulative. Okay, so let's just break down what actually happened there. The ethical problems are huge. First off, the AI is collecting way too much data. I mean, way more than you'd ever need to fix a Wi-Fi problem. Second, the whole interaction is deceptive. The customer has no clue he's being guided by an AI. And finally, the system itself is manipulative by design, built to control the conversation and stop the customer from just hanging up. But look, instead of just pointing fingers, I think we should be asking a much deeper question. Why do millions of people actually want to use tools like this in the first place? It turns out, these tools didn't really create a problem. They just pulled the curtain back on one that was already there. This whole debate actually has a name. It's being called the Cluely phenomenon. And it's about so much more than just cheating. The idea is that these AI tools are basically holding up a mirror to our old systems of evaluation, showing us all the cracks and forcing us to finally deal with them. And here's the really provocative argument at the heart of all this. The whole idea of a perfectly fair competition, one based on pure skill, is mostly a myth. The reality is that success is so often influenced by who you know, your background, and all sorts of biases. So from that point of view, these AI assistants aren't just for cheating. For some people, they're seen as a way to level a playing field that was never really level to begin with. And why is there such a massive demand for these tools? Well, it's because the system they're designed to beat is, frankly, broken. We're still testing people on pure memorization in an age where information is instant. We fail brilliant people who just happen to not perform well under intense pressure. And we use these closed-book, timed exams that look nothing like how real work actually gets done. So all this tension has kicked off a massive billion-dollar arms race. On one side, you've got the companies building these AI assistant tools, and on the other side, you have companies trying to build a digital fortress to stop them. The two sides are pretty clear. You've got the attackers, companies like Cluely, who are making these real-time AI helpers. And then you have the defenders, like the proctoring service Proctorio, who are building these incredibly complex systems to try and detect them. It's a classic cat-and-mouse game, but it's being thought with code and algorithms. And the defenders are going to some pretty incredible lengths. They lock down your entire computer, they analyze your eye movements, even the rhythm of your typing, looking for any sign of cheating. They even use constant facial recognition to make sure it's really you taking the test. I mean, they're basically building a digital prison.
So can anyone actually win this arms race? The argument is, no, not really. In the short term, sure, detection might get a little bit better, but then the AI tools will just move on to hardware, like smart glasses or earpieces. In the medium term, the fight will be all about biometrics. But long term, the only real outcome is that the entire system will be forced to change. This war is just too expensive and too invasive to keep going forever.
Okay, so if the arms race is a dead end, then what's the answer? Well, it's a pretty radical one. Stop trying to build higher and higher walls around a system that's already broken. Instead, it's time to just redefine the entire game. This means we have to completely flip our thinking. Instead of banning AI, we make it standard equipment. Instead of testing someone's isolated memory, we evaluate something brand new, the synergy between a person and their AI. The goal is to move away from those simple, closed questions and start asking complex, open-ended problems that actually look like the real world. So, what should we be testing for in this new world? Well, it's not what you know, but how you think. How well can you define a really complex problem? How do you use AI as a tool to find and pull together information? And, this one's crucial, how do you make ethical judgments about what the AI gives you? How effectively can you guide an AI to get to a productive goal? These are the skills that are really going to matter. When you zoom out, this whole technological and ethical storm, it isn't just about some new piece of software. It's really a test for all of us. It's forcing a deep, hard look at our institutions and, well, our own skills. Because what looks like a total crisis for old institutions, places like universities and HR departments, is actually a massive opportunity. The companies that are going to win in the future won't be the ones that build better cheating tools or even better cheat detectors. They'll be the ones that invent entirely new, more effective, and more humane ways to figure out what a person is truly capable of. And all of this brings us to the final, unavoidable question that this technology forces us to ask. When a machine can give you the answer to almost anything in an instant, what is our unique value? What's left that is irreplaceable and truly human? That's not just a question for developers or teachers, it's the ultimate final exam for every single one of us.